there was also in February 2024, this individual said he was being convinced, allegedly, by some acquaintances in the KOJC to recant his previous testimony. And then in June 2022 and 2025, he messaged supposedly that he was abducted. Kinidnap ako at tinatakot ako. Dito ako kinulong sa Glory Mountain. Help me please. To which the office of the senator forwarded this to PNP Davao. And then the video. I know that, I guess what I'm trying to understand here or try to get from you is, while you're saying there could be a pattern because there were previous supposed to be incidents, when you hear something like this na merong resibo at may maipapakita po, does that show that the witness is not believable or not credible?
These are matters that are addressed to
I
the
know you know the
investigator.
story. So
Yes.
he claims now that the Senator Risa Ontiveros, paid him ₱1 million basically to speak ill of the KOJC leader. What are your thoughts on this?
I do not know Mr. Murillo. I think he's the one who goes by the moniker Alyas Rene, if I'm not mistaken. But if he is saying that, it would not be the first time that there would be an accusation of witness tampering and subornation of perjury against Senator Risa Ontiveros. Because I personally know of 2 incidents wherein the same manner of accusation was made against Senator Ontiveros.
Tell us more about that.
I think Jing Paras, who was a guest in one of your shows here, gave a gist of what happened. This was during the time of the controversy surrounding Kian de los Santos, who was killed by the police in a supposed rob-out. And while I believe that the policemen involved there were rightfully punished for their crime, still it does not detract from the fact that with respect to certain witnesses who were of minor age at the time, Senator Ontiveros intervened by getting them from the custody of their lawful parents and bringing them somewhere else. As a result of which, the father of one of those children approached us in the Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption under then Dante Jimenez. And Dante Jimenez assigned me as the chief legal counsel at the time of the VACC, and former Congressman Jing Paras, who is one of our volunteer lawyers, to take care of the problem, and we brought the matter to the attention of the CIDG. And the CIDG, after investigating it, sent operatives to the Senate to talk to Senator Risa Ontiveros. At the time, her staff said that she was not in, although Senate security confided to us that she was in her office. And the second would be with respect to the Farmally case, where a certain Mark Clarence said on video, on record, that he was bribed by Senator Ontiveros with electric bikes and certain amounts of money to testify falsely against executives of Farmally. And we still have the sworn statement of that person. We still have his video. And as a result of these 2 incidents, a case for kidnapping and an ombudsman case was filed against Senator Risa Ontiveros. So probably...
And what is the status of that?
We have not been informed of the status, but if Senator Ontiveros has filed the case, maybe it was because of her experience with these 2 cases that she decided to preempt the filing of cases against her by filing her own case.
So does that mean to say that you believe this Michael Maurilio?
I reserve my judgment. However, there are 2 points that I wish to raise. Number 1, these allegations are serious and deserve the investigation not only of the police authorities, the NBI, but the Senate itself by its ethics committee, because as I've said, this is not the first time that Senator Risa Ontiveros was accused of these things. Number 2, Risa Ontiveros, being a public official, should not be, well, to use the shop-worn phrase, she should not be onion-skinned, because a public official, by entering public service, holds herself out to a higher standard of conduct and should expect the public to scrutinize her behavior. That's why, with respect to libel and cyber libel, the usual presumption of malice does not apply when you're a public official. Instead, it is the public official who must prove malice on the part of the person alleged to have libeled her in order to secure a conviction.
Does it mean, attorney, that what the senator did the other day, going to the NBI, and basically, to be very clear about it, is to initiate the investigation and the prosecution of the persons responsible for the creation and management of this Pagtanggol Valiente, as well as Michael Marillo and others? Do you think that was being onion-skinned of her? Because I do recall when she was being interviewed by the media, she says that, this is part of her job, mangyayari siguro yung mga ganitong klase. Pero yung pwede, you can call her out on certain things, basically rewording it. But when you lie or when you tamper with the witnesses, that's a different story, and that's something na hindi niya palalampasin.
That's what I said during my TikTok interview earlier. She is well within her rights.
Okay.
However, she must expect that because I do not believe that one person, as I've said, I'm reserving my judgment on this Alyas Rene. But I do not believe such a person or the other persons who previously made allegations against her would have the courage to make baseless allegations considering how powerful and influential Ms. Ontiveros is. So I think instead of investigating at whether there was a lying here or whatever, the investigation should cover everything. The NBI should investigate not only whether or not this witness was lying, but whether or not there is truth to his allegations in order to make it fair.
Both sides.
Yes, both sides.
All right. Do you think, you were saying a while ago that this is a serious matter? Before we go to what you were saying, that there should be an ethics complaint filed against her regarding this. It's serious because meron pong witness na nagsabing may problema ang KOJC, na kinawawa siya, naabuso siya, etc. And then, bumaliktad at sinabi na pinilit lang siya ng supposed to be ni Senator Risa na sabihin ito. But with regards to Senator Risa Ontiveros' defense when she was talking to media, kasi nakita yung parang pagkadismaya at galit niya. Meron ho kasi siya, attorney, ng mga resibo. In fact, her office had shown that this man, this individual, supposedly emailed them back in 2023. He left KOJC around 2021, the year 2021. They did not respond immediately, to which Michael Marillo had reached out to them 2 more times. And then he even asked at some point for a laptop dahil para daw magkaroon siya ng trabaho, to which the senator's office said they don't really give out such monetary or even laptops for that matter, kasi ayaw niyang magkaroon ng misconception doon sa kung magbigay man ng laptop or kahit na anong tulong dito sa witness. Let's just stop there first because there are more. Yun pa lang, what do you think about that? Because from a laptop na ayaw ibigay ng office ni Senator Risa to him being paid 1 million pesos, supposedly.
As I said, judgment has to be reserved on that. But that is why I'm calling on the NBI to investigate not only from the point of view of Senator Ontiveros that this person is lying, but from the point of view of the person as to whether or not there was pecuniary exchanges made in exchange for his testimony. Because that is also allegations. There were also allegations made against Senator Ontiveros in law that proves a pattern. So that is part of a pattern of events that strengthens the possibility that a present action was done on the basis of previous actions. And that is admissible in court, actually.
Okay. Attorney, but when you look at the series of events that supposed to be happened, there was also in February 2024, this individual said he was being convinced, allegedly, by some acquaintances in the KOJC to recant his previous testimony. And then in June 2022 and 2025, he messaged supposedly that he was abducted. Kinidnap ako at tinatakot ako. Dito ako kinulong sa Glory Mountain. Help me please. To which the office of the senator forwarded this to PNP Davao. And then the video. I know that, I guess what I'm trying to understand here or try to get from you is, while you're saying there could be a pattern because there were previous supposed to be incidents, when you hear something like this na merong resibo at may maipapakita po, does that show that the witness is not believable or not credible?
These are matters that are addressed to the investigator. We have to take the overall context of these things because, remember, witnesses recant all the time. In the case of Senator De Lima, the witnesses recanted. There were documents that point to the fact before that the first testimonies pointing to Senator De Lima as the person behind the so-called believed drug trade, these testimonies seem to have been given voluntarily. But later on, they recanted, and the court believed the recantation. So, I'm not saying the recantation of Alyas Rene is believable or not. All I'm saying is that based on previous pattern and based on the surrounding circumstances, there may be more to this that meets the eye. All I'm saying is that I am interested in the truth of this. And now, with respect to the ethics complaint, there is something wrong, not only because there is this recantation, but because money may have changed hands with respect to testimony. That is why, if I recall correctly, then Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre also filed an ethics complaint against Senator Ontiveros for violating the Anti-Wiretapping Act. And this case, this violation of the Anti-Wiretapping Act is still pending, if I'm not mistaken, before the Pasay City RTC. So there is this pattern that, as I was saying, deserves more serious consideration and a much closer look.
So with regards to this ethics complaint, who do you think should file it?
Any senator may file, actually any private citizen may file, or any person affected by the testimony. Remember that I filed an ethics complaint against then Congressman Dan Fernandez for violating the rights of my client and for trying to embarrass me in front of media and that August chamber. So any person affected may file before the committee.
But because you're one of the lawyers of Apollo Quiboloy, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, do you think that your group, your team, or somebody from your team should file an ethics complaint?
I have suggested as much to the team, but of course, our team leader is Attorney Torion, and I will leave it up to him. I leave it to his sound discretion.
How important is it for your group or your team to reach out, or has anyone reached out to this Michael Maurilio?
Not, as far as I know, none of us. It appears to have been spontaneous, but of course, if someone who recants, let us be candid here. If there is a witness who is doing an act that is favorable to your client, it is natural to extend help and assistance to that particular witness.
Of course. Hence the question, has anyone reached out?
Well, from my point of view, from where I'm sitting, I have no knowledge, but I would not be surprised, of course. It would be the natural thing to do for a lawyer.
All right. And